Hello and welcome to Your Coaching Journey, a podcast for doctors about coaching. Whether you're a coaching doctor, a doctor who is learning to coach, or a doctor who'd like to build coaching into your professional life, then this is the podcast for you. Hello, I'm Tom Dillon, and with me today is another coaching doctor. I'm very excited to say Dr. Amy-Jo Farrow is with us, and she's going to talk to us about how she utilises coaching in her work. So good morning, Amy-Jo.
Good morning, Tom.
How are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. I feel like I should give you a really enthusiastic hello like you and Helen normally do on this podcast.
It's become a bit of a thing.
It has.
Although I think the latest one I did, well, and I'm feeling a bit rough today. So there are times when, I'm just... I do like to be enthusiastic, but yeah. Good to have you with us. Let me do a little bit of an intro for you. There's no drum roll, but a little bit of an introduction. Amy-Jo is an occupational health physician and a coach for doctors. Her coaching work focuses on supporting doctors to recover from burnout, return to work, and craft a more sustainable future. So welcome, Amy-Jo. We've said that you're an occupational health physician. So tell us a little bit about that role that you have before we start talking about how you utilise your coaching.
So in my job as an occupational health physician, primarily it revolves around supporting employees with returning to work and providing employers and managers with advice on restrictions, adjustments and support that they can put in place for employees that have long-term medical conditions. It's a really varied role as well because it has that side of things, but also I do travel medicine, fitness for work in safety critical industries, work with the offshore oil and gas and energy industry. No 2 days are the same. And I really enjoy it. Right. I'd highly recommend it.
Excellent. And it does sound like a really varied role. Lots going on there. And it also sounds like a role that could easily incorporate some coaching into it.
Yes, definitely.
So I think when you first came to us and we're talking about the role that you did, I thought, wow, this is an area where definitely coaching could be utilised. So I'll be interested to find out as we talk how that does get integrated into your work. So let me just ask you, obviously you've had this background in medicine, which is obviously your main occupation. So what prompted you to explore coaching as an additional role to take on within your professional life?
So I've always been interested in health and well-being and trying to get the most out of my life and supporting other people to do the same. And I had attended and then presented at one of the Joyful Doctor Art for Wellbeing Days and just sort of been in contact with them as one of their Joyful Doctor artists. And I kept getting emails, honestly, over and over about, well, did I want to be a coach? Yeah. And but every time I saw it, I thought, yeah, I would like to. So after receiving those emails and attending the course, I then found that it was something that I really enjoyed. I really, really enjoyed, and it would fit really well with the work that I was already doing and inspired me to actually have that as a part of my career going forward. And I hadn't expected that at all.
Yeah, lovely. And you mentioned at the beginning of that you were involved with the Joyful Doctor and art in coaching. And it has been something that I notice on your LinkedIn posts. There's quite a few of you sitting somewhere, cafe or sitting out in the open, drawing. And you are a very talented artist. So that's obviously something that you bring to your work as well, is that artistic side of you.
Thank you.
And I think the last picture that I saw of you posted on LinkedIn, I was intrigued. I could see that you were drawing, it was like a line drawing, and I thought, what is that? And I zoomed in, I think it was a bumblebee you were drawing. But a very, very accomplished artist. So, we'll explore a little bit about what you do outside of your professional life a little later. But, really interesting. So, thinking about coaching and how you're starting to integrate it, what are the different ways that you use your coaching now?
I use a lot of coaching questions, I guess open questions in my consultations. I have always had before with clinical skills, communication skills training, but now I'm even more aware of how potent and useful they are to really get to the root of the issue for the employee that I'm speaking to. So I use that there. I also help to gently challenge any assumptions that are being made or difficulties that those people are having, because often I think employees come thinking that it's all on their employer to make changes, and realistically there's only so much that employers can put in place to support other people, and it really comes down to the individual. So that's where I use my coaching privately, I guess, in my other side of my career as a coach, is to help to empower people to make those changes for themselves and tailor their approach to life.
Yeah. And it was mentioned at the beginning that you sort of specialise in burnout and coaching doctors around burnout. And how is that working for you?
Yeah, it's great. I'm really enjoying it. And I've had some great clients with unbelievable feedback and transformations. I'm so lucky to get to work with some incredible people.
Yeah, and obviously when someone is sort of going through burnout or has been through burnout, is coming out of it, there's that perhaps thought as to whether they require coaching or therapy, and so there's always that bit of a grey space. So how are you finding that coaching fits with that?
So when I speak to somebody on a discovery call, and there have been a few people that I've spoken to, and I have immediately had a sense that this is not the right thing for them. And so there's a bit of history gathering about what's going on with them, and sometimes use screening tools to assess for levels of depression, anxiety, and risk factors. And also just want to make sure that those people who are often experiencing some mental health symptoms are receiving the appropriate level of support, and that they have the capacity to also engage in coaching if it's appropriate. Because I can think of one specific person that I spoke to, she was really keen to do coaching, but when I sort of dug down into a little bit deeper, she had actually been advised not to do any extra therapy alongside the therapy she was receiving. So it's making sure that people have the energy and capacity to take on coaching as well, because it can be hard work, can't it?
It can, yeah, absolutely. And like you say, it's not always appropriate.
No.
So if they are undergoing some other therapy, then it might be on the advice of their therapist that they do come for coaching, or they might be advised not to. So it's good to have that awareness. And I think that's how you are obviously integrating your medical background with your coaching. You've got that awareness and you're able to talk people through it. So that's great. And like you say, use some screening tools as well. Lovely. Thank you. So focusing on the coaching itself, what's your favourite coaching tool?
I use so many of them, and I tailor it to the individual as to what they really want to focus on. But I think to get to know the individual quite quickly and get people to open up, the River of Life is just brilliant. And then to look at somebody's situation as it is right there and then in that moment, and look at the area that perhaps they need to focus their attentions on to support them with burnout. The Wheel of Life is perfect for those two things. The ones I use.
Yeah, some great. Yeah, a couple of great tools. And I always feel a bit sheepish asking this question about what's your favourite tool, because as you say, it's always going to be appropriate to the person sitting in front of you. So we're not going to use something that's not going to be helpful. But I think the River of Life's great in terms of asking people to share something of their life, and they'll do that in the way that they want to. So depending on the trust that's built up. Actually, some of the times where I use it, I invite someone to do it in the discovery call ahead of the coaching, but we might not get to talk about it till 3 sessions in. So depending on how that rapport is building and where we feel the trust is. So a great way to get people to share. Lovely, thank you. And thinking about the questions that you ask, what would you say is your favourite coaching question?
Often I find that doctors will say, I don't know, as an answer to a lot of the questions that are asking them, challenging them perhaps to come up with their own answers. They'd really like me sometimes to give them the answers. And although during the discovery calls I explained that that's not what we're doing here, they still would like a like me to give them the answers. So when they say I don't know, my first response is normally, and if you did know. Because they do know. They do know deep down. I don't need to give healthcare professionals and doctors advice on how to look after themselves. And they also know their own personal circumstances better than anyone else could. So, yeah. So if you did know, that's my common question.
It's a great question. And I always feel a little bit apprehensive asking it. As though, because if you do it in real life, people go, well, I don't know. I just told you, I don't know. But actually in the coaching room, people are very accepting of the questions that you ask them, and it will cause them to pause and to think a little bit deeper, won't it?
Yeah.
To that thing that I've heard other people sort of ask, just finish that sentence for me. I don't know. What is it you don't? Because quite often it is just a sort of a cliche, isn't it? It's just something that falls out of people's mouths without them thinking too much. So it's just anything that gets them to pause and just think a little bit deeper. So yeah, it's a great question.
To get that system to activated.
Yes. Little Daniel Kahneman's work comes in. Lovely. So when you're not working, not coaching, what are you doing with yourself, Amy-Jo?
Mostly parenting. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, both boys, and being a wife and a daughter and a friend, and just myself, I guess, as well. That's what takes up most of my time, and I'm very lucky.
Yeah, with the 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, there isn't an awful lot of time for much else, is there?
No.
Very much got your hands full. Yeah. But apart from family, what other hobbies and interests do you have? We mentioned art earlier. Yeah.
I try to go to a dance class every week. I lift weights, and I enjoy having a sauna and a sauna cold shower. And socialising, seeing friends where I can, and quite a simple life really. But
so obviously dancing is a big part of my life as well. So what sort of dancing do you do?
Well, it's Zumba, so it's dancing, but exercise. Exercise. And I love it. It's just moving in sync with other people who are all smiling and having a lovely time. Yeah, it just fills your heart.
And invites some energy in as well, doesn't it? Yeah. Great to be doing things with other people as well. Good. And you mentioned weights as well. Tell me a bit about your weightlifting.
So I'm working on my squats and deadlifts at the moment. And there are always lots of people in the gym that are willing to give advice and hints and tips on what you're doing. So that's getting better. Just like to feel strong and be able to throw around my 20 kilo 5-year-old and my 15 kilo 2-year-old. And at the moment, not weightlifting apart from my own body mass, but I've just got to do the monkey bars. So they have monkey bars at the gym, and I was like, I'm just going to get to do that. I'm going to learn, I'm going to practice that so that I can show my 5-year-old when we go to the park that I can do it. And I've done it, so I'm really happy.
So how has that shown up in the park?
Well, it wasn't actually in the park. He had to walk past the gym area, and I was like, wait, stay there. I'm just going to grab this thing because I want to show you that Mummy can do the monkey bars.
And how impressed was he?
Yeah, I think he was impressed, yeah. I don't think he was expecting it at all, so that was fun.
No. How lovely to be able to do that. How's he at the monkey bars?
Oh, I don't think he's ever done monkey bars, but I think he's pretty good. He's quite light. Good power to weight ratio.
Great. It's just that being able to lift my grandson's 10, and he's definitely getting to that stage where I don't particularly want to lift him up anymore. There's a sweet spot, isn't there? It's good to throw them about, but there comes a point where he's not quite as tall as me, but he's getting there. Yes. So Finally, Amy, what would you say to any doctors who are thinking of adding coaching into their professional development and their working life?
I would say, don't hesitate. You won't regret it. It will enhance your clinical practice, your relationships, and may inspire you, as it has me, to become a coach.
Lovely. What a lovely way to finish. Yeah. I'm so pleased that your journey into coaching has resulted in that inspiration to actually do some formal coaching, which is it's great to hear. So I've witnessed the power of your coaching, and I'm sure that you'll do great work with your coachees around burnout and returning to work. So well done. Excellent stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy-Jo. It's been a pleasure to speak to you this morning. I wish you all well. As we're recording, we're coming up to Christmas. So I wish you all the best for a lovely family Christmas and a very happy new year. And I'm sure our paths will cross in the new year. We've got a conference coming up next April, so hopefully we'll get to meet in person. But it's been lovely to talk to you this morning. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. So next time we will be exploring a challenging coaching, and we're challenging the idea of goals and whether goals are really essential in a coaching session. I think a lot of people would suggest they are, but we're going to challenge that thinking a little bit. So join us next time. And in the meantime, if you'd like to subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode, please do so. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.